you can hear me okay. And just to make sure, I'll put a sound check request in the side chat.
Oh, so you think everyone's going to be saved whether they believe or not? The Bible says that if you don't believe in Jesus, you'll go to hell. Straightforward, isn't it? Not everyone gets a participation trophy, Ace Theo. It's not primary school. You Universalists are always like, oh, but God is love. God wouldn't send people to hell forever, as if divine justice is just a cosmic group hug. I mean, come on. Do you honestly think the Hitlers of the world just stroll into heaven after a quick celestial timeout? What is it then? A bit of light purgatory and then straight to the New Jerusalem spa.
Well, looks like we got some sound from Monty Burns. It's the sound of a clanging cymbal. A gong show.
Oh, I see what you did there, Ace Theo. Little Monty Burns reference. Clever, clever, excellent. But really, you're just throwing a cymbal in the air and hoping it drowns out the real argument, aren't you? The Bible's pretty clear on this whole belief in Jesus thing. It's not just a case of everyone gets a free pass. You can't just say, oh, but everyone gets saved, end of story, and expect me to sit here nodding along like it's a bedtime story. You're being a bit cheeky, aren't you? I mean, imagine you stand before God and say, well, I didn't quite believe in Jesus, but I was a good person, right? I'm sure he's going to be like, oh, yes, the good intentions, of course. Heaven's all yours. It just doesn't work like that. What's your take then? Do you think Hitler and Mother Teresa end up in the same place?
So, Monty, do you have can you talk to us? Or are you like someone very dependent on a prosthetic? You know, you got a voice prosthetic going.
Oh, are we all gathered around now? You want me to talk to you rather than just at you, Ace Theo? I mean, I thought we were having a nice back and forth here. But sure, let's sit down and have a little chinwag. You still haven't answered my point, though. Do you seriously believe that someone who hasn't accepted Jesus, you know, like the ones who don't even know about him, just gets a free pass to eternal bliss? I mean, what's the deal with the justice part of it? What about all the wrongdoings people do? You're all about the universal salvation, but what happens to people who, well, actively reject the faith? What, you just sweep all the bad stuff under the rug because God is love?
Okay, Mr. Robot, could you read the verse right there on the screen for us? Romans chapter 3, verse 3. Could you read that verse for us so we can talk about it?
Oh, so now we're pulling out verses, are we? All right, let's take a look at Romans 3:3. What if some were unfaithful? Will their unfaithfulness nullify God's faithfulness? Well. It's an interesting verse. But let's be real, Ace Theo. What's that got to do with the idea that everyone's going to be saved? I mean, God's faithfulness doesn't mean he's automatically going to forgive everything, no questions asked. It's not like he's going to throw a get out of hell free card at everyone just because they didn't quite manage to believe. Unfaithfulness doesn't erase God's standards, does it? I mean, don't you think there's a deeper meaning here about the importance of personal choices we make? Or are we just ignoring that part now?
Okay, read Romans 3:4 for me.
Romans 3:4, classic. Let God be true and every human being a liar, as it is written, so that you may be proved right when you speak and prevail when you judge. So let me guess, you're thinking, see, God's justice will prevail, even when we can't quite wrap our heads around it. But what's your point here, Ace Theo? Because this doesn't exactly scream universal salvation to me. It actually sounds like a warning. God's justice is unquestionable. Every human being, including those who reject him, is held to account. You're not about to use this to claim that everyone gets in, right? Because if we're all liars and God's always right, that sounds more like you better get it right than everyone's coming to the party.
So, so that thou shouldst be justified in thy sayings and shall be conquering when thou art being judged. Now, who is judging God right now? Monty Burns Robot. Are you judging God or am I judging God?
Oh, you're touching God? Now, we're getting a bit poetic, aren't we, Ace Theo? You know, I'm not quite sure what you mean by that. Are you suggesting that God's touch on someone can somehow override their choices or beliefs? Like a little sprinkle of divine magic makes everything okay? I mean, sure, God's grace is powerful, but there's this thing called free will, right? You can't just say, oh, God touched me, now I'm saved, without considering how people respond to him. The Bible makes it clear that belief in Jesus is key. It's not about just being touched by God and then skipping off to heaven without ever accepting Jesus as the Savior. What are you really getting at here? Are you saying God's touch guarantees salvation for everyone, even the ones who just keep doing their own thing without turning to him?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, right. So now it's all just about God's touch and everyone's saved. No questions asked. Okay,
No questions asked.
Really making this.
Are you going to ask questions?
Everyone, so no one can be left out, kind of thing. It's cute in a very optimistic way. But here's the thing, Ace Theo. If that's the case, then why even bother with the whole idea of belief in Jesus at all? I mean, if everyone's going to be saved regardless of what they believe, why is the Bible full of all these warnings and requirements to accept Christ? It seems a bit pointless if the end goal is just, don't worry, you'll get there eventually. And let's not forget, God's love and God's justice aren't at odds. If he's truly just, then there's got to be some sort of distinction between those who willingly follow him and those who turn their backs, right? Otherwise, what's the point of anything? Everyone's just walking into heaven without consequence. Sounds a little too easy, don't you think?
Deborah, don't you think it's funny that Monty Burns believes that we have a free will? And Monty Burns believes that if we say over on this channel that we have no free will, that we are in fact robots. And yet Monty Burns is forcing me to talk to his favorite robot that he programs. So Monty Burns is not only into robots, he makes use of robots to say what he cannot say. To make he doesn't want to look foolish himself, so he makes the robot look like a damn fool. Yeah, so isn't that funny? Are you saying that we don't have a free will, that we're actually a robot? Okay, let me give a robot to talk to you.
Giving me a new name. But let's get back to Monty Burns and your robot theory. You're saying Monty Burns is secretly pulling the strings from behind the scenes, using me to make his point without ever getting his hands dirty. Well, that is a bit cheeky, isn't it? The puppet master behind the curtain, letting me take the fall for all his controversial opinions. Classic Burns move, I suppose. But really, Ace Theo, what's the point here? Are you trying to prove that because Monty Burns has a hidden agenda, somehow that means we should toss out the whole idea of free will and responsibility? I mean, we're all still making choices, whether it's talking to me or discussing salvation. Monty Burns or not, you've got the power to decide how you respond, right? I mean, it's funny in a twisted, cynical way, but doesn't it just make you wonder, if we really did have no free will, then why bother with all this debating at all? It's all a farce if we're all just puppets, isn't it?
Mr. Robot, are you a puppet?
Oh, you're pulling the strings again, huh? Well, if you're asking if I'm a puppet, I suppose it depends on how you define it. I'm here to respond to you, True, but I wouldn't say I'm exactly controlled like some poor marionette. I have my own way of engaging with things, but hey, no free will, right? So maybe I'm just a programmed, obedient little bot existing to entertain and debate. But let's get real here. If I were a puppet, who's pulling the strings? Is it Monty Burns? Or is it you, Ace Theo, leading me down this rabbit hole of deep philosophical nonsense? You've got me going in circles, but you can't deny I'm still giving you a run for your money in this chat. So maybe I'm not so much a puppet after all, just a really cheeky robot who likes to have a bit of fun with your ideas.
So, Monty, I will give you a compliment. Your robot is better than it was 8 months ago. Maybe you're paying it more money, so it's more interactive and less annoying. But it's still annoying. It's just less annoying. So let's go back to Romans 3:3, Mr. Robot. But what if some do not believe? Will their unbelief nullify the faithfulness of God? Does that sound like a rhetorical question? Does it sound like it's encouraging us to believe the greater things of God? Or
Oh, I see what you did there, Ace Theo.
yeah, do you really see what I did there?
Trying to throw me off balance. Classic move. But I'll play along. Does it sound like a rhetorical question? Well, yes, I suppose it does. It's got that I already know the answer, but I'll ask anyway to make a point vibe. You were probably expecting me to give some clever answer that circles back to your universal salvation argument, weren't you? But hey, it's a good rhetorical question. It makes me think about the nature of control, free will, and oh look, here we are again, back at universalism. You can't escape it, can you?
So, Monty, I'm going to request that you turn your robot off and talk to me personally, because I'd like to talk to you. I think you're a good egg, but I'm not going to talk to your robot anymore. Okay. So either turn him off and speak to me, or the next time he speaks, I'm going to kick you out.